Well, hello again, everyone. It is me again, Bob Kiviat for Conspiracy Truth Finders. And today, once again, we have a really, really great guest. In fact, he is somebody that has inspired me in so many ways. I think today is going to become a very interesting day, just even for him, because there are some things I probably have never really shared completely with him. He's grown to be a really good friend, somebody that I think is one of the top people in his field for sure, that's for sure. And then I'm trying to see if he can actually expand that into a passion that we both have, which is the unexplained and television, kind of things on the unexplained and mysteries like that. And of course, conspiracies, because as we keep saying every week, conspiracies are moving from the Bigfoot and the ghosts and the UFO allegations and conspiracies into the mainstream political world we're in right now, where there are conspiracies everywhere. In fact, in the future episodes, we're going to bring, I think, some of the political people on to talk about how conspiracies are becoming like everyday stuff. It actually is driving our country, and there seems to be an entire political party that is basing their entire politics on conspiracy theory, which is really unbelievable. But anyway, staying with the politics of the day, pretty amazing. UFOs again being supported by one of our past presidents. Barack Obama goes on Stephen Colbert's show, and Stephen Colbert basically prods him to try to say, come on, what do you know about UFOs? There you go. Here's a shot just showing you that the coverage on this has been pretty wide. Obama, and we'll play a clip in a minute, Obama basically was kind of, a little bit sheepish, but, Colbert kept pushing him, and you'll see it. Why don't we play the video right now of Obama and Colbert talking UFOs?
UFOs? Any UFOs? Did you ask about that?
Certainly asked about it.
And?
Can't tell you. Sorry.
Okay. All right, I'll take that as a yes. Because if there were none, you'd say there was none, right? You just played your hand. I thought you were a poker player. You just 100% showed your river card.
Feel free to think that.
I do. I do.
Can I say it used to be that UFOs was the what is it? Roswell was the biggest conspiracy, and now that seems so tame, right?
So right off the bat, here we go. Obama, before him, Hillary Clinton, when she was running for office in 2016, famously on Jimmy Kimmel, George W. Bush on with Kimmel, not too long before that even. And all I can say is, Bill Clinton, there have been lots of people talking about UFOs from the government. I even had Ronald Reagan write me a letter years ago when I invited him on for a UFO story I did back in New York years ago with Geraldo Rivera. And believe it or not, he was willing to come on, just couldn't make it, and wished me warm, good wishes in my UFO coverage. And I'll tell you, as I'm going to tell our guest in a minute, that got to keep a little mystery here about our guest. I have to tell you that that inspired me. When Ronald Reagan wrote this letter, and it said to me, not only UFOs likely real, but he wanted me to stay on it. So that's a conspiracy that I think is going to start to come out. But I love what Obama said there. Obama said the present conspiracies going on with the election and QAnon and all this wild stuff because he talked about QAnon, everyone knows in this show a couple of weeks ago, that's more wild now than Roswell UFO landing or something. You could almost accept UFOs are here, aliens are here, more than you can accept this stuff, which is really interesting, and that's why I'm bringing it up. Now, number 2, in the last few weeks, an Israeli former head of the Space Command for Israel has gone public saying aliens are real, UFOs are coming, and they're waiting for us to become more mature, basically, so that we can join the Federation of Planets, I guess, something along the lines of Close Encounters, Star Trek and those type of shows. I mean, come on. I mean, maybe Close Encounters, that was a Freudian slip there. Maybe Close Encounters is a better example. We're going to join a friendly group of aliens that are going to come and take us to the next place and all that stuff. But come on. So right away, you want to throw it away. You want to go, nah, that can't be real. Believe it or not, the current head of the Israeli space program is saying, take him seriously. So I want to show, if we have a shot of that article, do we have anything to show on that? The Israeli gentleman there? Yeah, I think we do. There's a New York Post article. There it is. There he is. That's the guy who wrote, I think he's coming out now because he's going more public in general. But he is the former head, Eshed his name. He's the former head of the satellite security system for Israel. Now, you would think the guy that is in charge of the security satellite program would know if UFOs are being picked up by these satellites. On that note, I am going to bring our guest on, JoJo Wright, who is one of my favorite people in the world, and literally, I think the best DJ in LA at night. I listen to him for now going on, over a decade now. JoJo, welcome to the show.
Bob, it is it's a pleasure to be here. There's so many things I want to talk to you about, and just watching you do your thing. And I'm even trying to take a peek at what's on your TV in the corner there. I think it looks like a video game session going on over there. So
actually, it's not. It's just my screensaver. But I did have images of people from my shows. I tried a lot, but it's it's a high tech program here. We're trying our best. But
I was like, what's on TV back there? But yeah. It's all the stuff you were talking about. Let's get into everything. But
So anyway, JoJo, I wanted to bring you on right now because we're going to get into our association and all that, but I want to make sure you see this. Now, you've always asked me like, Bob, so, come on, what about the best UFO cases and everything? Well, the best UFO evidence that I've ever seen, JoJo, that I really respect is stuff that comes from the governmental observation technology we have, whether it be satellites, telescopes, things that are scientific, or video cameras, of course,
Right.
So here is the proof that I believe pays off what this former general in the security, satellite area of Israel, backed up by the head of their NASA, essentially, Israel's NASA. Why would you believe that satellites are picking up UFOs? Well, in the history of UFOs, JoJo, you may not know this, but there's something called fast walkers. This is the idea that the military has leaked out that satellites have picked up UFOs coming from deep space. And they call them fast walkers. That's the term they have for these. Now, I'm not quite sure why the name fast walkers is the name, but that's what they say. Okay. Now, a guy came out about a decade ago from the Defense Intelligence Agency, and he confirmed it. I'm going to play a video right now, JoJo, that shows you the evidence that there are these ships coming from deep space or something like that, alleged evidence, okay, because we don't know if the evidence correlates directly to the satellite technology picking up these UFOs. But the Defense Intelligence Agency expert, you'll see right now, he confirms it.
And
Let's play the video.
This was filmed by who once again? This
is now video. You'll see two things. It's a short sequence from a documentary a friend of mine made. And what happened was he got this Defense Intelligence Agency guy to confirm that there are these UFOs coming from deep space. And these satellites are positioned in a very interesting way. Okay. And that caught the attention of this expert when he noticed it, when he got up there on the command, when he figured out what they were doing as part of his job. He couldn't believe what he noticed. So you're going to see some evidence of these craft that are coming from deep space. They call them interstellar craft. I don't know if they correlate 100% to what the Israeli guy says lately that we just showed, but it does seem to confirm the proof that there are these unknowns coming and being picked up, and how they're being picked up by the satellites. That's the most important part. Check it out. Check this out.
Here we have an amateur astronomer capable of catching these things with his small telescope and a small camcorder. As it always goes with discoverers of great things, he has no funding, no high-end telescopes, no high-end cameras. He has found something that through his apparatus that he invented is capable of capturing interstellar spacecraft. If the starships that John Leonard Walson has captured in deep space are ours, then I am glad we have them out there protecting our planet. What they are protecting us from is thought-provoking, to say the least. These things are enormous. On the other hand, if they are not ours, I wonder who or what is operating them.
There was a fear then of something out there. It became a very big concern. Asteroids, UFOs, people coming from other places. Paranoia was also there within the government. At certain levels, you could feel it. You knew it was happening. I noticed the satellites' positionings. I said, now this is supposed to be a system that tracks radar anomalies on Earth, right? The whole thing, the movement. Yep, that's what it does. And I said, so why are half of them pointed towards the outer space? Towards the moon, towards areas that are just blank space. Well, I don't know, was the reply. He says, never thought about it. He says, well, at least half of those satellites you got up there aren't looking at Earth. I said, what are they looking for? He says, well, you got to have need to know about that. I said, I see. In other words, who's coming? He says, we don't know.
So, JoJo, what do you think of the fact that one thing is I want to clarify, I want to hear everything you got to say. That's actual video shot by a guy who invented a telescope that goes way beyond normal telescopes, he's an amazing inventor, this guy. But he captured what these main satellites that our world is seeing as well. So what do you make of this?
Well, obviously, an untrained eye, that's me. Who knows what that is? It's something I've never seen before, but I would be curious to hear your thoughts on it. But clearly it's, wow. I mean, what is that? I mean, the honest answer is, I don't know. I have no effing clue what that is.
So they're not not your typical UFOs. These appear to be gigantic ships, some kind of arrays, like imagine like a little bit like you see the futuristic movies we see where the ships are kind of like, going miles in, diameter and, or, in length and all that kind of stuff. So, this is the kind of thing that I am looking at and wondering what the connection is, but it sure looks like there is a connection to these satellites that are, what do you make of this? that this guy gets to the program he's working with, and he notices the telescope, well, they are somewhat telescopes too, but the satellites are not facing Earth. They're facing the other way, as if they want to be picking up things coming to Earth, not down on the Earth.
Right.
What do you make of that?
Well, I think that's the obvious. I mean, I think you and I are along the same thought process when it comes to, we always ask the Obamas of the world and, the Jimmy Kimmel, and I do the same thing about UFOs. I think it's pretty obvious. We've got enough footage to certainly, I believe things are here and they're visiting. And I think that's almost old news, although we need, proof of it, and it's exciting to find. But clearly there's something out there. I don't know if I need the government at this point to verify it to me, but it'd be exciting to have them jump in on this, which they are. Obviously, they seem to be cooperating a bit more, releasing some more footage, and whatnot. But I think it's almost old news to have to wait on these guys to confirm what I don't want to say we know it, but we have a good feeling about it. Heck, I even talked, like I said, back at, years ago, I was jokingly, I had the pleasure of talking to Senator Obama at the time when he called. It was him. He was, it was the Democratic primaries, and he was, him and Hillary were going at it years ago, and he rang up Kiss FM in Los Angeles, and somebody called me downstairs because I was having some food down below, and they said, "Hey, Obama's calling to push votes," and so I run upstairs, took the phone call. He was pushing people to vote, the typical thing, and I said, "If Senator Obama, if you are elected, any chance I could have access to Area 51?" And he kind of laughed and he goes, "Well, I don't want to make promises. It sound like a typical politician, make promises, that I can't keep, but get out and vote." So that was kind of it. And it was kind of funny. So I do the same thing that I'm criticizing, but yeah, there's something out there. Now, what this is, I don't know. But the reason the satellites were turned the other way, I think it's smart. You never know what's coming. We just don't know. We think we do. I'm pretty sure there is something out there, but you might as well capture it. That's why they're pointed. I mean, all this, let's not say, I guess, prior to 2020, I understand why we don't want to alert upset the public. If they say, "Hey, there's UFOs," we might go nuts. Hey. But at this point, a UFO could land on the mall, right in the mall parking lot next to Lazy Dog Restaurant in Santa Clarita, and I would probably go, "Huh, that's cool." Click, turn the channel. It's just so, like you mentioned earlier, the conspiracies and everything going on right now, this is almost tame compared to real life. Another thing I find funny, we've seen so many clips of different UFOs and whatnot. How can I put this? Every craft is a little different. Like these craft, even though it's a shot from quite a distance, you can't quite make it what it is. We've seen other clips, the Phoenix lights come over the V shapes and whatnot. I've got reports of little spheres flying in people's backyards.
You're right.
Everything is a little different. Are they all coming from the same place? Or are we talking like multiple, like they have so much access to Earth, we don't seem to have access to them? Are they visiting from all over? Are we like a hot spot? Because every little craft seems drastically different.
JoJo, tell me a story about, and you know the story, about Lupe Fiasco. Here is a guy that musically, great artist, an amazing story you and I talked about at one point. Tell us what happened to Lupe Fiasco, the great musician.
He's a hip hop artist, a rapper, kind of he's a real thoughtful, real intelligent guy. That's the way he comes across to me. I've never quizzed him on anything, but he's smarter than I am, it seems like. But he comes in and I usually ask people if they've had a paranormal encounter, because it's kind of what I do. Then I'll take, clips from these interviews and put them on my podcast. I have a podcast called Paranormalish, which Bob has been on. But I'll talk to all these musicians, quite often. And Lupe comes in. He goes, "Yeah, I think I've had a UFO encounter." And he says that he believes there's an implant in his leg that they put there. So, I'm like, "Well, can I see it?" Of course, I got to see this thing. So, and it could have been anything. I mean, I have zero proof of what it is. It may have been, I don't know. He may have fell on as a kid, fell on a rock, and it's a rock stuck in there. But he goes, all right, JoJo, here it is. And he lifts up his leg and he pulls down his sock, and it's right about his ankle. It's a little, rod, something like a hard object underneath his skin that I'm rubbing Lupe Fiasco's leg, and something, I don't know what it is. I have no idea, but he thinks it was an implant from some sort of I guess extraterrestrial encounter.
Well, didn't he tell you the story? He told you what happened. He tells you the issue about why wasn't there an event? You told me that.
Yeah, some of those the specific. It's been a while since I spoke with him, but he goes through the whole piece on how he thinks he was. I believe he was. Did he wake up somewhere and end up somewhere else? He went to sleep one place and he
remembers it being the typical abduction kind of scenario at night.
And it was interesting. Like I said, this is probably 12 plus years ago at least that I talked with him. But the thing and there's a video of me touching his leg somewhere on YouTube. But it was just such a bizarre. He's a fun guy to talk to, and then when you're rubbing, your favorite hip hop artist's leg, it's weird. It's a moment. But, he tells the story, and the thing that sticks in my head is, if he's telling the truth, there's something in his leg. Well, there's something in his leg. Just where did it come from is the question.
Are there any other musicians that you've met before we move on from UFOs? Because we got a lot to get into today.
Right.
Any other UFO related celebrity musical stories you know of you want to share? I know a couple, but
give me the ones. A lot of the ones I've talked to lately. I know you deal in the my podcast Paranormalish we cover a lot of stuff, but like my bread and butter is probably more so in the which I know you're not a huge fan of, but is the ghost world.
Oh no, hold on. I'm not a fan of ghost video or ghost proof.
Right.
But I think I just tipped my hand. I'm looking much more for proof. It's
Understood.
Not that I doubt ghostly phenomena. It's not that in fact, I think UFOs and ghosts are related according to the government, believe it or not.
I've heard some theories on that too, yeah.
Yeah, and then that's something that we've talked about on the show a little bit, and we will talk about some more. But what I was getting at before was we've heard certain people talk about UFOs, and so there was one particular story from our talks, and I knew the Lupe Fiasco one, so that's one I was going to ask you about. But regarding ghostly phenomena, are there ones that stand out in your mind? In the celebrity
let me ask you one thing. Speaking of UFOs, and this is not a celebrity thing, but let me just throw this at you real quick. This guy, not a celebrity, but a girl that worked at the radio station, or I work at iHeartRadio in Los Angeles. There's several radio stations. But the girl that worked at another station said, "Hey, JoJo, you need to talk to my parents." And, these aren't people trying to get on TV or the radio. They're her parents, super nice couple. And so they come into the studio and they sit and they tell me this UFO encounter. And I forget where, but I think they're down in Orange County a little bit. But this is when they were dating. So I'm guessing back 80s, early 80s, whatnot. They're sitting in their backyard and they just hanging out. And they see this metallic sphere about the size of, I'm going to try to recall what they said, about the size of a soccer ball, maybe smaller, floating in their backyard. And there's a military base, relatively close to them. They're not next door to it. But this sphere floats up in their backyard and just sits there. And finally, one of them notices, like, what the heck is that? So they both, and this event happened probably, I think it took like, it wasn't like an on and gone. It was about 10-minute, little period there. They start looking at this sphere in their backyard, not making any sound. Now you're thinking drone, but it was making no sound. And this is 80s. The sphere floats through their backyard, and they walk over and they look at this thing. They're following it as it floats down their driveway, or I think it was their parents' driveway, and they got a great look at this thing. They can't tell if it's they don't know which way it's facing because it's just a metallic sphere. Floats down the driveway, and they're looking at it, and all of a sudden, a few minutes later, as they're just in awe, it shoots off at this crazy rate of speed, and gone. Now, they have no idea what this was. I certainly don't. Have you ever come across anything, that is anything similar to that. What, Bob, what is that?
It's an amazing thing you're telling. Last year, I was asked to speak at a UFO conference, and I told the story and showed video of a guy in Malibu, California, JoJo, who had an encounter in his backyard, caught on video, which you have to see. There's something very, very similar to this case in Malibu, California. The guy who shot the video, JoJo, guess who he is?
You?
Not me.
No?
He is well, I'll tell you his lineage. He is a son of one of the most famous producers in Hollywood. And he likes to say his stepmother is, ready? Barbara Streisand. Now, I'm not going to give the entire story about this guy because I think it's just not the appropriate moment. But I'm going to bring this video on in the next show, and I'll send you the video later. You got to see it. Now, it doesn't shoot off, but it does some incredible things. It's like a ball, and it's morphing, and it's doing all this stuff on a neighbor's roof. But it comes in such a way where it comes in with like some kind of electrical apparatus hanging down from it. You have to see this, and it seems to change into this weird ball. I got to show it to you. But anyway, this case in Malibu, California is one that I'm really going to look into much more and show you the video for sure.
I would love to see that and compare notes and maybe get those people to connect with you, and you guys could have a little chat or whatnot. So
and funny, it is a musical connection, and it has that kind of like history of music in the background. Of course, his alleged it's not really his stepmother, someone who was with his family. It's a little complicated. I really don't feel comfortable saying the entire story today, but we will talk about it at some other time.
I can give you plenty of, I've had quite a few, we'll call them ghost or spirit encounters from celebrities if you want some celebrity encounters, but the ones I've got aren't UFO related, but they are ghost related. I can give you, if you want to, I can give you some celebrity stuff if you don't mind the ghost connection as opposed to UFO.
Yeah, we will, of course. Okay,
this is Halsey. Do you guys know the singer Halsey?
Yeah, I love her.
She's awesome. She's been on a bunch. She's almost become part of the Kiss FM Los Angeles, the radio station I work at. She's basically become part of the family. I've known her for a while now. She told me this story where she was a kid. Now she was young, and she, how kids sing songs and just you just sing crazy stuff, And she would recite this number. She would sing, and I don't know the number. She never told me the exact number, but she would be singing 763-12121, whatever. That's probably somebody's phone number. If that is, I'm sorry. But she would just sing 763, and she did it all the time. She'd play around, didn't think twice of it. She didn't know what not a clue. She's a young kid goofing around. Her aunt comes over one day, and this is her mom's sister. And her aunt says, she calls her mom over and says, "Do you know what that is?" And her mom's like, I don't know. She said, "That's our great grandmother's phone number." Halsey was reciting this, and I grilled her on it. I'm like, "Are you sure is there any way you could have, seen this number, like posted on a fridge somewhere?" But she'd been passed long before, it's her great grandma. I don't know if that's paranormal, but it's certainly odd. She's reciting her great grandmother's phone number. Never met her. Doubt she ever called her, or called anybody at that point. It was just, it's bizarre. So I don't know. Take that for what it's worth. I found that fascinating. Ryan Tedder. Oh, go ahead.
It's an amazing story. Those are the kind of stories. And by the way, I don't want you to think I'm not as interested in ghostly evidence or ghostly stories.
Right.
It's just that of all the phenomena, JoJo, I've ever tried to show on television, there's not a lot of it. And what has been presented is really questionable in terms of its authenticity. So that's a different story. But I will say this. I almost wanted to bring on these clips today of Michio Kaku, the famous scientist, talking about ghostly footage in one of my shows that I did for Fox. And I'm telling you that we had mostly debunked material, but 2 or 3 incredible clips that Michio Kaku felt the ghostly phenomena was like a misty kind of material coming in front of the camera, and the camera was reacting to the ghostly material. So we are going to, in your honor, bring that footage into our show in an upcoming episode. JoJo, I almost was going to bring it on today, but I wanted to hear more about you because I knew that you would want to go more with the ghosts.
Right.
But maybe I could convince you to come back on the show and
dude,
look at that. You know what I mean? The ghostly stuff, really get, just do a ghost hour. How's that?
Oh, I would love it. I am, just let me know when. I love jumping on, hanging out with you, Bob. I haven't seen Bob in person. Well, I haven't seen anybody in person in quite a while.
In a while, yeah. But anyway, we'll get to that
a
ghostly dedicated hour. But anyway, it's a nice segue because Michio Kaku is the scientist that we put on, one of the first people to get on with my production crew. And we got him on talking about these kind of things. Over the last few years, JoJo, I've been looking at some things that are pretty out there. And there's one thing that I've been talking to Courtney, our producer, knows from a couple of weeks ago. I'm trying to develop an entire docu-series about this. It's called the Mandela effect. And people think that we may have shifted our kind of universal parallel universe plane, if you will. And somehow we have kind of like changed our society, changed our world, changed the reality. And there are certain things that are no longer what they used to be. Movies have changed scenes, songs have different things in them, as if like two parallel universes came together and overlapped, and there's some residual from one universe and some residual from another universe, and we've now combined these two. Maybe you're from the old one, I'm from the new one. It's kind of pretty nuts, right? They think it may have something to do with the CERN collider in Switzerland and what they've been doing with physics and trying to recreate the Big Bang and all this stuff. But one of the ones I want to show you today, just one, is one that's getting a lot of interest. And it's a song that I knew really well. Whenever you go to a baseball game or something, JoJo, years ago, you'd hear two songs by Queen. If you basically, go enough, you'll hear it. We Will Rock You. Yep. Of course. And then We Are the Champions is a classic for sports, We Are the Champions, right? Everybody that I've spoken to remembers it being We Are the Champions, and at the end of the world. Hold on. It is not that. You go now, you listen to the album, it ends without that. We are the champions. No world. Gone. The album does not have that anymore, the world. It's like it doesn't exist. There's no ending. It's just expended, what's the word, JoJo? You better with music. You're suspended. It's a suspended kind of moment, right?
Yeah. So you're.
It doesn't exist. I'm trying
to think
back.
Yeah, because I was a kid when that came out, but I'm very familiar with the song, obviously. And was that just? I mean, was it on? I know they sang it. Of course, we heard them saying "Of the World." I sang "Of the World" at the end, but was that just how they did it live?
No, I'm trying to tell you.
It's on the album, right?
It's a great question. When you went to the games, they're playing the album, and it was always "Of the World" at the end.
So if I go look at the album now,
it's not there anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
So the theory is with this Mandela effect, the universe is like in the other universe, they didn't sing that.
Exactly.
Now we've tiptoed into that world.
Exactly. And by the way, there are hundreds, JoJo, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of examples in pop culture, Bible verses, names of products. You're going to see a series. If I have it my way, JoJo, there'll be a series on this like soon. Anyway, next in the world of wildness now, JoJo, and I am very, very sensitive to this. And I saved it for the end so that,
here we go.
If you ran away, you wouldn't be too upset with me. You know that there is these musical stars, we'll call them, not just hip hop. I'm going back to the days of Led Zeppelin. I can go back further than that. I am going to show you that for whatever reason, in the last few decades, there's been a pattern of putting strange lyrics in reverse so that if you play the album backwards on a turntable like I used to do years ago, my cousin showed me this. My cousin was like, this is like in New York. I'm a kid, JoJo. He says, hey, come here, Bobby. He plays a Beatle album backwards with the turntable. And I swear, you hear, I buried Paul. I buried Paul. And we knew about this back in the 70s, in the 80s, right? So I am going to play a series of examples, JoJo, back to back to back. This is the evidence that I would bring to a jury, a courtroom, like evidence, finally, not conspiracies without evidence, conspiracy. So my conspiracy here, that's the name of the show is, Conspiracy Truth Finders. And I think we found the conspiracy. Okay. They're putting these in. I'm going to ask you at the end if you see a pattern of content, but I do believe they've built it a little bit more differently in the last few years. When I say they, I don't know. Is it the marketing people? But it's a huge term. If people go on the internet, it's called backmasking. And there are people who feel that there's a little bit of an agenda that seems to be creating concern in the world. So why don't we do this, Courtney, producer, why don't we just play Stairway to Heaven, the two clips I have of Stairway to Heaven. Let's start with that, and then we'll get JoJo back. We'll talk about Stairway to Heaven, and we'll kind of go down the list. Okay, JoJo? You ready for this?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay, Stairway to Heaven. Here we go.
To get critics even, or the skeptics, to show them what I'm going to do, I've actually taken the exact piece of tape that you just heard it off of, and I've reverse thread the machine, and I'm going to play that exact piece of tape backwards now. Okay, just
prove that you've not doctored it in any way.
I have not doctored it in any way. All right, let's go ahead and start. Okay.
I heard something there.
All right, listen for I Live with Satan, exactly. You might want to turn it up just a little out here on the floor.
Did you hear that?
I Live with Satan. Listen again. Okay.
As I live with
How many in
Satan.
the audience heard that?
So there's a religious show.
Right.
No
Check this out. Here's the next one.
Actually, and it makes me wonder. When he says, and it makes me wonder, backwards is translated into there's no escaping it. Try it one more time.
Heard that one clearly, yeah.
I have to tell you, right off the bat, so we're going to go through a bunch of these. Now, it's going to get a little eerier, and I've told you this before. We've had some talks about this. Now, I got to bet we're looking at the 70s there, 80s, I guess. We're looking at a clip there from. Now we're going to go to the Eagles. As we go down the progression now, check the Eagles out and what they're doing with the concept of this demonic-y, eerie, kind of like dark subject matter. Check this out.
Okay.
About. People think the lyrics in this song are not about a hotel, but in fact, they're about cults, witchcraft, sex slavery, demons, and human sacrifice. Now, in the song, it is said that if you reverse it, you can hear him talking about Satan. So here's a piece of the song playing normally. And now here is that same piece of the song, but backwards. I know, fucking creepy. And that's not even the scariest part of the song. There are lyrics that aren't reversed that are just as creepy as that. I mean, this next part of the song is very clearly about going to hell and seeing the devil. Listen. And they even refer to Satan as the Nightman. Now, a lot of people think that the frontman of the Eagles sold his soul to the devil. Like we've talked about before, a lot of musicians supposedly sold their soul to the devil to get famous. And not only does he sing about the devil in this song, if you look at the album cover art and you zoom in behind the party, some people say that you could see Satan hiding.
That's pretty freaky, that picture. For years, people have pointed to this, JoJo, and we'll get to more current things in a minute. But people are pointing to that Eagles album for those 3 or 4 things just mentioned. The combination of the audio, the album cover art. People used to show me that at parties, like, whoa, there does look like a little demon face there. And then the reverse thing, if you listen to it again and again, it looks like they were doing it. So right midway through here, could you imagine it continuing to the hip-hop artists of today? Could you imagine it continuing to Britney Spears, Jay-Z, Beyonce? Could you imagine they would be doing this?
Well, I'm going to hesitate to respond because I'm sure you've got 12 clips ready to roll at me. But yeah, Bob and I have had our chats on this, and I think obviously I can hear it in there. But yeah, I'll reserve my comments till the end of it because I know you're about to slap something on me here.
You're like my witness on the stand, my expert, and of course he's a high-paid witness, so it's like I got to get my evidence out in front of him. Okay, so here we go. Britney Spears has had a very wild career, as we know, and a lot of allegations. Let's just play Britney Spears now and see her Baby Hit Me One More Time. Here it is.
Now, just a couple weeks ago, we talked about how if you reverse Britney Spears' song Hit Me Baby One More Time, you can hear her saying, "Sleep with me, I'm not too young."
That's pretty clear. That if they're trying to make,
Wow. Well, I don't know. Should I comment or what do you should I just roll? Okay.
Give it. You know what?
I don't know.
Hold off on that one. Let's go to Lady Gaga. Oh, wait. JoJo, this is what I've told you about before. Jay-Z was grilled about this by a top, you may even know the people here, but other people have grilled him about this, and he's acted very strange. Not just demonic messages, clothing, symbols, and his wife, Beyonce. So take a look at Jay-Z being grilled on this radio show. Check it out.
Okay.
Jay, I have to ask you this first day that I said you were coming up, this week before I knew that these guys were coming. People are really buying into this, that you are some sort of Illuminati, devil worshipping, Freemason, something.
Man,
what are you up to that I wasn't aware of?
I don't know. I don't know where it came from. I don't know where it started, but
Well, there's all these images in videos that people are saying are deliberate. My question to you is, are you messing with people and doing this on purpose?
No, not me. No, never done that before. Why would I do that? That's retarded. To be honest with you, I really think it's really silly,
These symbols they've made, JoJo, there's no doubt. If you look even a couple of years ago at the Super Bowl, Beyonce had a performance that was extremely suggestive of these alleged Illuminati symbolism and dark, kind of like, imagery. I mean, could it be a marketing campaign? Could it be something going back even to the Eagles and all that stuff we showed? Could it be part of marketing?
If you ask me, I can't. The Led Zeppelin, the Eagles, it makes sense with their subject. Hotel California, you can play it. You don't have to play it backwards. You play it, normal. It is what it is.
Exactly.
I mean, but the layering. I mean, when it started with the Beatles back in the day, and I had heard of that. And once again, that's it was a little before my time, obviously. Not much, but a little before. But it became when the Beatles did that. What did we do? We talked about it. Oh my God, did you hear that? And we were still doing it. Here we are. Did you hear that? Well, guess who's inspired by the Beatles? Led Zeppelin, the Eagles. Let's do that too. That's cool. And then Hotel California, it makes complete sense. Put it in that song of all things. Excuse me. Now the Britney Spears thing is what I heard it. I don't have an explanation for it, but I don't get it because I don't know the end game for that one. I don't know if somebody doctored it. I really don't know. I know I've met Britney multiple times. I know Johnny Wright, who was her, if I recall, he was her manager at the time. Johnny Wright, who I did a TV show with Johnny Wright. It was called I'm spacing on the TV. We did it. It was like American Idol ripoff. Oh, Fame. It was called Fame on NBC. I know Johnny well. He's brought in his artists to me over the years, from NSYNC to Backstreet Boys to In Real Life, a new group he just had, which they just brought. I've known Johnny forever. I can't imagine him saying, "Hey, Britney, let's put a line in the album that says we need to sleep with an underage girl." I just cannot imagine Johnny Wright doing that. Now, maybe he had maybe somebody in the studio did it, buried it and did something crazy. I heard it. I need to hear it. I'll need to do some digging on that one because I don't know the end game on that.
Okay, so hold on. We got a few more, and then I'm going to ask you about technique, and then we'll wrap up today. But I want to understand how one would even achieve it, even surreptitiously, without the artist even knowing it. But let's continue. Lady Gaga, Poker Face.
Okay. Good Lord.
The only reason the only reason why we played that long is it keeps repeating. And again, JoJo, she has had a very wild story about her life, and even Britney Spears has. And you start getting into it, and you find out Katy Perry, who was a religious singer at one time, said she sold her soul to the devil. She says it. Then Bob Dylan, a very eerie interview he gave a gentleman I used to know actually at CBS. He gave an interview. He straight-faced said he sold his soul to the devil, and he's going to have to play it out. Like, that's the deal he made. And, you want to wonder, are they just being facetious? Of course they're being facetious to some degree, but what does it mean?
I mean, Lady Gaga is, once again, now you're in the era that I know. And Lady Gaga, granted we don't do lunch, but I've known her for years now. And she'll, if it doesn't take me to tell you this, she'll play around with this. She'll have fun with it. She likes to, she'll mess with people. I could see her, that's not, I don't know if she did it on purpose. I need to hear what it sounds like. I would like to take that line, or maybe just me say it myself and then reverse it and see what it sounds like. I want that lyric, my voice, say it, play it back. Does it sound anything similar? Because there are going to be some things, maybe not this in particular, but some things that just that sound different when played in reverse. So maybe that's some of that. I don't know. Lady Gaga I could see her playing around with people.
Okay. So we got.
But what I will say is most of these artists, I'd say artists in general, are just, I got two things I want to say. Most artists, not saying all of them, maybe Led Zeppelin, maybe they're crazy and I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they're all, I guess what I'm trying to say, most artists that I've met are just boring like me and you. They are boring people like me and you. That's their job. They go on stage, they do their thing, and then we go off and we go to Coffee Bean. It's just, they're just like me and you, just they have a cool job. I mean, people even look at what I do as, JoJo on the radio, Kiss FM. I have a wild job. I go on the radio. I've met every celebrity you can think of in the pop world over the last 20 years. Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, Jennifer Lopez. I've met Michael Jackson at Neverland Ranch. He threw cake in my face. It was crazy. Most of them, I don't know Michael. I've only just met him that one time. Most of them are boring like me and you, except they have a wild job. I am boring. I come home and I watch TV in my underwear. I am boring. I have a crazy job. So on a much higher level, that's kind of how I picture them. Now, people are strange and people do some wild stuff. There are some in there that will do this. I can't say which ones do and don't. The Britney Spears thing is the only one I don't get, because that's I don't see the end game to that. I think that's a negative, and anybody who put that in there, I don't think had Britney Spears in there. They weren't trying to help her, if that's the case. Exactly. I couldn't imagine her going, yeah, I want that in my song. And I can't imagine Johnny Wright, approving that. And granted, managers aren't in the recording booth 24 hours a day. They say, let me hear the song. That sounds great. Let's go with that. They didn't hear the layering of the vocals. And how you do that is you just put it on, it's super easy. You have these tracks like this, have 30 tracks. You have the drums, you have this, they have the 14 vocals, and they're layer. And somewhere in the middle, it's super simple. It's just as easy as it's a no-brainer. But then again, some things, like I said, if you play it one way, naturally going to sound something, those things could happen. Second thing I want to bring up is, and I know this happens because, I believe in conspiracies. I have a podcast called Paranormalish. God, I'm believing in ghosts. I'm trying to question this, but, how do you sell your soul to the devil? Where do we go? Cause, that is that, and I know there's going to be an answer, but, we used to have this guy that did, pranks for me on the street here in Los Angeles, because sometimes radio shows have a crazy guy on the street, and I did that for a little while. And this guy, we would go to the Scientology building, and he would fake like he was asking for, hey, is this where the Illuminati meeting is? And he would pull up to the Scientology building, and we were always afraid they were going to follow him out, and they never did. But they would always make him turn around and go home. He's like, I'm here for the Illuminati, and I'd say, spit on a secret code to him. He'd go, the chicken flies at midnight. He would just say something random, and they would just, and they were like, what? And granted, he was talking to the security guard. So I don't know if he was in on, he goes, you probably, he'd tell the guy, you're probably not going to know these things, but the chicken flies. And we would prank the Scientology building. Now, with the theory being, if anybody's going to be tapped into the Illuminati, Scientologists is probably going to be one of them. But they never, luckily they never came after us. But where do you sell your soul? How does, where do you sign the contract? Not that I want to do it, but where does that happen at?
JoJo, this will be show number 2 with you, because then, and by the way, thank you for telling everyone how easy technically it would be. Like my expert on the stand here in a courtroom, you are telling us easily, technically, you could put in a reverse track, how it's played backwards. You probably could do it technically. Nobody would know, or the artist would not know. That's interesting.
The only thing is, how would it sound? Their main thing is to sell this record and to make a hit. So the only thing is to make the thing you put in reverse, if they were to do that, not interfere with the product.
Let me finish by showing just a couple last ones, and then we're going to wrap it up with a couple of good things I'd love for you to comment on. But no, we're going to play the last few are Nelly Furtado, Twice in a Way, and then Beyonce. Then we'll finish up. But again, it gets a little more complicated as we go. You'll see.
Ain't over yet.
Okay, now when you reverse that, this is what she says.
Oh my God, descending to the 13th floor, 14th.
Wow.
That's interesting.
All right, so there you clearly see what Nelly Furtado is doing. She's showing you the symbol that everybody knows. And by the way, this symbol now, the musicians are doing, it's not an accident. They are making a symbol that is recognized by many people as like the Illuminati, Messianic kind of thing. So something is going on with teasing the Illuminati, no matter what, like you were referring to just now, JoJo, before with your Scientology story. So again, before we comment, let's see Beyonce. This last one with Beyonce, I must tell you, I analyzed a much larger version of this about 4 or 5 years ago in my editing room. I don't have that analysis here. There are many, many weird aspects in reverse to this video of Beyonce doing Single Ladies with her group. Check it out. This is just a little taste of where this goes. Hold on. Beyonce, Single Ladies. Now, when you watch this, JoJo, in its entirety, analyze the entire video, what happens is, in reverse, she presses a button, which is this finger, the engagement ring issue, right?
Right.
But in reverse, it looks like a different story. In reverse, it looks like they're telling the story of a robot with a metallic arm pressing a button to make humans look like they're operating under some sort of demonic-y kind of Beelzebub kind of, I don't even know what, some kind of a trance-like behavior. I'm not saying we could do it today, and I'm not saying I want to fan this too much, JoJo, but What if, on the witness stand today, what if we showed you clear evidence, and I'm not saying it is, that Jay-Z, you saw earlier, being grilled about, there's a lot of imagery on their videos since then, a lot of imagery that seems to suggest they're into this thing. I don't think Jay-Z was, between you and me, JoJo, I don't think Jay-Z was being honest. I don't. I think Jay-Z was saying, he's been known to wear a shirt, Aleister Crowley shirt, one of the most demonic-y kind of guys ever on the planet. Why would you wear an Aleister Crowley shirt? That's a known demonic worshiping guy from England. So, and by the way, he actually said he saw an alien that he thought was an alien, but it was a demon. So the idea of UFOs, ghosts, demons, the government's claiming to me, JoJo, they're under a category called phenomenology. They're all connected. What do you make of that?
That being the first time I've heard that phrase, I don't know how to comment on that.
Phenomenology, the CIA uses the term phenomenology.
I don't know. I mean, do some artists put things in their music? It's easy. Of course they are. Some people are doing that. Some I'm going to question, are they real or are we hearing it? I don't know. But I know some artists use this for, marketing. I mean, we're talking about it and they're using it because it works. I mean, here we are.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just, I don't know why that. I guess the one thing, and of all the ones you show me, the Britney Spears one is disturbing because I don't think that plays to her. It doesn't, like, we're talking about her, but this is not in a good way. And that was put out in a song. If it was, in fact, you can add the tracks later, by the way. Like, if you take this, I could take a song, put it in, just, it's going to be one mix when I get it. The Britney Spears song. And I can take another, track and layer something in there. Mm-hmm. And then re-release it, and it, I guess other people besides the original, studio producers and whatnot can put something in. All that said, it's very possible. That's the one that bugs me the most because it doesn't play to her advantage. The other ones, like Jay-Z, Britney was 13, 14, 15, whatever. She's a young girl. That's bad. The Jay-Z stuff, the Eagles stuff, it kind of adds to their mystique in a way.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, H to the Izzo, all that stuff. We talk about him. He's mysterious. Why is he wearing that shirt? We're talking about him. And he's not even trying to sell records right now. He's an exec at this point. This is old stuff.
Exactly.
Beyonce, that's a crazy one. Granted, that's a couple of years back, that song. But that, I guess the same rules apply to her. It adds to her mystique. I don't know. She can deny and it's there. And people talk and all they have to do is deny it and just run. It's just crazy.
Well,
it's very possible it happens. The Britney one I don't get. I question that one because I don't see the end game in that, and I don't know. More to be continued. Story developing.
But thank you for sharing because it's the first time anybody of your really high up level in the business, JoJo, that I'm aware of has just broken it down and said to people, "Hey, look, it might be marketing. There clearly is something going on." And I really appreciate you taking a look at that because I know this is your industry and I don't want to in any way kind of like, suggest something that might not be true, but you heard it yourself. And there is this history, going back to the Beatles and the Led Zeppelin. And so apparently backmasking is a reality, but what it means, who knows, right?
Yeah. What it means, who knows? And it can be done multiple ways. And And I want to, before I say, yeah, that's that, I want to question each individual one, because let me just focus on the Britney one. There is, whoever put that in there is a sick freak.
Can we play it again, Courtney, one last time?
He's a sick freak, you know?
Let's play it one more time for JoJo, a couple times.
Now, just a couple weeks ago, we talked about how if you reverse Britney Spears' song Hit Me Baby One More Time, you can hear her saying, "Sleep with me, I'm not too young."
Yeah.
If that, I'm going to play it myself backwards and see what I get out of it.
I love it. JoJo, that's great. You can actually go and do a little test.
Yeah, because I don't know.
Of your own.
That's the one thing that really, because she's a young girl when that song was released.
I love it. Hey, listen, JoJo, I'd love to keep you more, but I know you're so busy, got to go back and do a show today. So here's my big question.
Yes.
Would you consider still working on something with me in television? Because I've tried. JoJo and I have tried a couple of times. Real short and sweet little story. I was working on a show years ago at the Sci-Fi Channel with John Brankus, who I work with on the show a little.
Right.
And John, I leave the office and I put on the radio and I'm driving home. And there's this guy, JoJo Wright. And he's talking on the radio. This is like 2010 now. JoJo, I know you're not almost 10 years now. Wow,
wow, that's crazy.
And I'm driving home, and because my job is to find footage and videos and do stories the next day about this stuff. So JoJo's talking like this. Anybody see that blue UFO by the 405? People are calling in about it, and I'm like, I'm almost pulling up the side of the road, and I'm hearing this, and I have to. So I go to the office the next day. And I tell everybody about JoJo Wright has his show on the radio, Kiss FM, and you got to hear it. And then shortly after, I contacted JoJo, and we never got video of the blue UFO. But do you remember the incident, the blue UFO?
100%, yeah. I remember. Well, I guess what I recall the most from that whole sequence of events was the call I got from you, because I love, Kiss FM is not designed to be a paranormal based radio station.
Right.
Music, it's interviews, it's contests.
That's why I was surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm on there and I do this often, and people have known me for this, and the artist included. Listen, and so the fact that you called me up, I thought, is this guy for real? Is Bob? Is he just playing with me? What? So I end up taking the calls and the meetings and whatnot, and here we are 10 years, whatever later, and it was just the friendship that came from that random moment is just pretty wild. And I do recall that was it a test rocket from it wasn't Tesla at that point, it
was a different one. Actually, we to this day it probably was that kind of thing. We're not sure, but it wasn't quite as a known space launch that created a blue flame and kind of blue flare, whatever it looked like,
right.
A halo, whatever. But it was a good chance for you and I to get together, and it taught me something, that you could actually be a top DJ putting great tunes on at night and be into this stuff, and organically you just are into it. And I said to everyone at the office the next day, forget about the event, that JoJo was so into it, and he wasn't treating it like a conspiracy. It wasn't treating it like it was just like a cool, hey, anyone else see that UFO? And so it really was exciting. And that's the kind of show, JoJo, that I'd love to work on with you someday, where we are like checking out the latest sightings and really trying to bring the public, like, day and date. Yesterday there was this UFO sighting, and here's this guy, and he's telling us right away. So the day may come, or a ghost sighting. I mean, JoJo, you've done some of the best ghostly things where you put a guy. Tell us before we end today. Sometimes you have a guy go and stay in a haunted house. Give us like maybe one or two great examples of your guy, and just wrap it up on that one. Ghostly phenomena occurring on one of your live ghost hunts, because you do these live ghost hunts sometimes, right?
Here's one that happened. This one happened. I was at the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado, which is famous for where Stephen King stayed at. He had an encounter which inspired him to write The Shining. Now, it wasn't filmed at this hotel, but this is where the inspiration came from. So once again, Stanley Hotel, Estes Park, Colorado. I went there 2019, I guess. Yeah, times after 2020, everything's a big boy. But 2019, I believe it was. And I stayed in the Stanley Hotel. I had a guy come with me. He got put in there there's another, they have, if you look at the Stanley Hotel, they mainly show the one big hotel, but they have actually two hotels there. and I forget what they call the other one, but it's another really nice part. We'll call it Stanley Hotel Part 2, but that's not the name. He actually was in this one. Now, this happened to him, not me. He's a big guy, I point that out just because strong guy, he knows how to shut a drawer, as we all do. But he gets in late that night, putting his stuff in the drawer, and he shuts the drawer, goes back about his business, and this is just one encounter. But I just want to bring this one up. He turns around, the drawer is open. He's like, "Pretty sure I shut that drawer. Let me shut this drawer again." As he says it, he shuts the drawer with intent. Now, this drawer is not on rollers. It's just wooden, older, it's an older drawer set, Chester drawer, I guess, what do you call it? It's just a wooden rail. So it's not like a roller thing. It's just, he shuts this drawer with intent. I'm giving you sound effects for effect. Goes about his business. Drawer's open again. Boom. All right. Enough. Going to bed. Middle of the night, he wakes up, goes to the bathroom. Boom. Bumps into this open drawer again. So he's like, all right, shuts the drawer, sits in his bed, says, "Look, I don't know how this works, but I would like to stay here. I'm sorry." Goes on to, he's basically having a conversation with an empty room. And or was he? And the drawer doesn't open anymore. Now, we can chalk it up to 1,000 things. It's if nothing else, is just interesting conversation. But that happened to him, and that was at the Stanley Hotel, once again, Estes Park, Colorado, which is just a fascinating hotel on top of everything else. The Queen Mary. Before I even give you the Queen Mary one, how much time do we have?
We got a few minutes. Go ahead. We got to hear this, right, Courtney? We got to hear this. Keep going. You got to go.
A friend of mine who is an executive at an automobile corporation. He didn't want to use his name on the podcast because, I guess people don't want to. He didn't want people thinking he's crazy or whatnot, but his mom was the head nurse at a hospice, and that's been her job for years. That's what she did. There's another nurse there. So nurse 1, nurse 2. They had a lady come in to visit her husband, and he was, he's getting close to passing. Pretty much everyone there in a hospice is, getting near the end, but they just kind of could tell when it seemed like this guy was pretty close. So she comes in to visit him, and they go in to check on him and make sure that she's doing good and just, "Do you need anything?" And they both walk out. Nurse 1 and nurse 2 walk out, and they look at each other like, did you see that? The lady comes out after hanging with her husband, and, "Are you okay? Everything fine?" "Sure." Question, who was the man praying at the end of the bed? Because they saw somebody there. They assumed it might have been like a relative, brother, uncle. She didn't mention anything. They didn't want to disturb him because praying, and it's as we're kind of like this a semi-light moment here on the podcast, this man's about to die, so you don't want to question at the moment. He's praying. She comes out. Who was that? Curious, who was that? She didn't see him. She had the lady, the guy's wife, didn't notice this man at the end of the bed praying, yet both of them saw this man at the end of the bed. Maybe she's lying. That's the only explanation I've got to debunk that, is maybe she's just straight up lying to her son. But there's that. I find that absolutely fascinating.
So you had one other one. You said you were going to, it was a segue, but you had one other one. I'm not sure if you had another one in memory, but those are both great.
Okay, I can give you. Well, do you want you want to? Here's a celebrity one. The band AJR. Are you guys familiar with the band AJR? 3 guys from New York.
Yeah.
They played a gig at a venue called The Rave in Milwaukee, which is, there's a lot of stories about the Rave being haunted. And the Rave, and this has nothing to do with the story, but the hotel across the street is called the Ambassador Hotel, that's where there's a lot of Jeffrey Dahmer stories tied to this whole thing. I guess back when the Rave was called the Eagles Club, and this part I can't, I don't know if it's 100% true or not, but apparently he would go to the Eagles Club, seduce someone, back to the Ambassador Hotel, do his thing, bury the bodies later or whatnot. It was, or take them back to his house. It's tied in with the Jeffrey Dahmer thing. But their story has nothing to do with that. But that's just some of the backstory of it. But the rave performance venue, it's a pretty well known venue. They pull in backstage. They're unloading their stuff, and they happen to walk. They walk in their dressing room. They go in there. Pretty basic dressing room. It's an old place. It looks like, probably 70s decor, I think he said. It looked old school. Nothing fancy. They go in there. All right, cool. Probably drop their bag down, shut the door, walk back out into the hallway, had a little chat, yada, yada, yada. 30 seconds, maybe 45 seconds later, walk back in the dressing room, and the furniture's stacked up. It's like stacked up. And I said, well, okay, let's play devil's advocate here. Could somebody, the only way anybody could have got in there without them seeing them, because they're right outside the door for 30 seconds, is to pull Mission Impossible and lower down from the roof. But even if they could do that, what they had to do in that 30-second period, it's pretty spectacular, And I said, could the furniture have fallen? He said, well, the furniture can't fall up. So they questioned a few people around the venue because they know it has the history of being haunted. Are you jacking with us? And the guy's like, dude, no. And he showed him some other pictures of things that had happened over the years. And granted, that's not proof, but they questioned it. Like, what the heck's going on here? So, at the end of the day, open the door, normal, shut it, 30 seconds later, open it up, furniture stacked up. Unless, once again, and with this ghost stuff, and I know this is probably what bothers you, and I understand your point on this. You really are right on this. It's just, do I believe the witness or not? Yes. It's what it boils down to in this case. Do I believe them or not? Yeah. And
see, with ghostly phenomena, that's the
I do
key,
believe
JoJo.
it. But yeah, what was that?
With ghostly phenomena, that is the key. The eyewitness testimony seems to be the big evidence of ghostly phenomena, more so than any kind of documented. But there are some solid evidences. We are going to bring you back and have a ghost hour. How's that? Just you and me, ghosts galore. You name it. It's going to be ghostly. JoJo, you are
Super
amazing.
Ghost, and more ghosts.
I appreciate you being here. It's a moment I really, really do. I will always cherish. I'm going to get you back. You know that. You're coming back on this show.
I would love to, Bob.
We just kind of tipped the iceberg here a little bit, JoJo, good seeing you. Have a great show today. That's it for Conspiracy Truth Finders with me, Bob Kiviat, and we will see you soon.